Should we expect more from the Auburn Tigers on the biggest stage?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me today is Jake Crain of Crain & Company. Happy Monday to all of you. And Jake, you went a little viral over the weekend, especially in Auburn's corner of the internet. Of course, the Auburn basketball team gets upset by Yale on Friday. And you just kind of put out there, you asked the question. It's like, well, as Auburn fans, when are we going to kind of say enough is enough when the stage is the biggest and the lights are shining the brightest? Over the last decade, with the exception of that 2019 Final Four run, it seems like whenever everybody is focusing on Auburn, they always just fall a little bit short.
Yeah, and Zach, my thing is, and I'll say the same thing, that I said after when I put out what I did was, we have to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. I think, just in society, we have trouble with that, being able to understand that two things can be true at once. And outside of the 2019 Final Four run, Auburn fans show up every time. Every single time. I don't care if it's gymnastics. I don't care if it's equestrian. I don't care if it's football, basketball, or Quidditch. What the Auburn family and the Auburn fan base has done, and I don't use the word Auburn family lightly, is when you need somebody to show up and give you an atmosphere that is unparalleled. I mean, damn it, Zach, there's not a better group of people on the planet than to hit up than the Auburn fans. Look at the jungle.
Yeah.
You've got Jay Williams and them saying this is the best atmosphere in college basketball. Look at college baseball. Auburn started out 0-5 in the SEC. What do? Game 6 against Arkansas at home? Even Butch Thompson told you. They showed up and they showed out.
Sure.
Nobody comes through more in the clutch than the Auburn fans. My argument and my problem is at some point, the Auburn coaches and players have to repay that with doing something when it matters the most. Now, that isn't to say that anybody should be fired. That's not what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that misconstrued what I said.
Shocker.
That isn't to say, yeah, I know, right? Fan short for fanatical. It's how it's always going to be. You can go outside Auburn.
I love it. It's beautiful.
And find that everywhere.
The passion is there for sure.
It's there, and it has to be. You have to be down with the sickness to win in this league.
Yeah.
Whether it's any sport, the Auburn fans have showed up. But outside of the 2019 run, and I'm talking baseball, I'm talking football, I'm talking basketball, I'm talking softball, I'm talking everything. The players and the coaches have to start doing their part when the stage is the biggest. Yeah, Auburn basketball won the SEC tournament. That's great. But even Stephen Pearl went on the Next Round Live and said the SEC tournament doesn't matter anymore. And he's right. He's right. And whether you're going to Spokane or whether you're put in a bad regional, and there's no excuse for Auburn baseball dropping 2 in a row at their own regional last year. They're in this boat too. It's everybody. We have to stop resting on our laurels from the past. The standard has been raised in Auburn basketball. I could say the standard has been raised in Auburn baseball. And we know what the standard is in Auburn football. But when it comes down to the biggest moments, and I'm not talking regular season or conference tournaments, the Auburn players and coaches have fallen flat on their face every single time. Please tell me where I'm wrong. You can go back and look and please tell me. We haven't gotten past the round of 32 in basketball since 2019, and they've done a hell of a job. Coach Pearl is the best thing that has ever happened to Auburn basketball.
No
That's
question.
not my argument. Butch Thompson has done witchcraft and wizardry with Auburn baseball.
Yeah.
And that's not my argument. We'll see with Hugh Freeze. He needs more time. It's unfair for me to judge. But even last year, we have Georgia on the ropes. We have Alabama on the ropes. And we blow it. At some point, the big moments from the Auburn players and coaches outside of the regular season and conference tournaments, y'all have got to start doing your part and go and win in the damn game instead of making excuses. And this goes all across the board. Zach, I've been reached out since I put that out by multiple Auburn basketball coaches. And here's what I'll say. I can, on one hand, appreciate everything that Bruce Pearl and his staff has done for Auburn. Nobody works harder than those guys.
Sure.
It doesn't hurt anybody worse than those guys when they lose. But it doesn't take away from the fact that we can't get out of the round of 32. That when we get to Omaha in baseball, we forget how to throw the ball to first base. That when Auburn football, I can go back to 2013 and on, has been in the spotlight, go to 2017, the SEC Championship, you have fallen flat on your face. And when you come to Auburn, it is not to be good in the regular season. It is not to say, oh, we really tried hard. Like I said, my washing machine tries hard. That gets you through the door. You're at Auburn. It's more than that. It's that when these moments present themselves in the postseason, where you're supposed to go out there and handle your business, you haven't done it. And it will be a cold day in hell before I trade access for the truth. I built my brand on, just like Zach, I think you guys do a great job of it over there of just calling it how you see it. Good, bad, or indifferent. Is that when you do good, I'm going to tell you you're going to do good. When you do bad, I'm going to tell you you're going to do bad. But I will not be bullied by coaches. I will not be threatened by people in the higher power of Auburn to just sit here and kiss y'all's ass. I'm not going to do it, Zach. I'm not going to do it. If they're going to say anything about me, it's at least this guy told the truth. You know, we do a national sports show, Auburn. I'm from there. I was in Auburn before a Pearl was ever in Auburn, before a Thompson was ever in Auburn, before a Freeze was ever in Auburn. I was born at East Alabama Medical Center. So spare me with the, oh, you don't care about Auburn enough. I was in the coaching business for almost a decade. I grew up with a coach in my household. I understand you have to protect yourself. But when it comes down to the postseason, you guys aren't doing your end of the bargain. And it's about time that somebody said it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to carry water for anybody. And I'm not going to cover for anybody. If you want that, go over to China. This isn't the Soviet Union. I'm going to call it how I see it. And we're not. Yeah, going to Spokane was tough, Zach. Auburn got screwed. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I texted Bruce Pearl that. UConn got screwed more than anybody, if we're going to be honest, with the region they got put in as the number one overall seed. But what did Alabama do? They went out there and beat Charleston in their region up in Spokane. What did Auburn not do? They didn't go out and handle business. And that's just the truth. You get paid too much money. You can cry in your hands. You can cry to yourself. But for the love of God, stop crying to all of us.
So what does Auburn need to do next? What's the next step, Jake? We discuss that in just a moment, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tournament. And if you're an everydayer for this show, I'm sure your bracket is busted. Whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Nissan is bringing you the March Madness bracket highlights. Every single week, they are picking a team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest, just like any of Nissan's all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs. These guys were able to take it to the next level. The Arizona Wildcats can only be described as an armada. The 2 seed is as hardcore as it gets, so it's no wonder that they took it to the Sweet 16. And so many folks have the Wildcats picked and primed to make a run just like the Nissan Armada. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Jake Crain of Crain & Company, our guest on this Monday edition of Locked On Auburn. So I think most fans will agree with everything you said. And based on, your clip that you posted that went viral over the weekend, most folks are agreeing with you. Most folks are, because most folks that cheer for Auburn, they want a championship or they want to be competing for championships every single year. And to me, the next thing now, like I ask you, is it culture? Is it execution? Is it expectations? In your mind, okay, yes, you've pointed out the problem. I agree with you. What's the solution in your mind?
Well, it's getting over that last hurdle. I think a lot of it, Zach, and look, it's circumstantial with every sport. And again, I want to reinforce, I'm unbelievably thankful for what Bruce Pearl has done for Auburn basketball. I mean, if it ended today, and Zach, I think you'll agree with me, it is a monumental shift that we have seen, that we're even having this conversation. We 100%. Would have never had this conversation before Bruce Pearl, especially when it came to Auburn basketball. But I'm not just talking about Auburn basketball. I'm talking about the whole thing, the whole enchilada. Well, where I think now is, let's start sport by sport. In basketball, I think it comes down to what you do in the NCAA tournament now. And that's a badge of honor. That's a badge of honor. Like we haven't gotten out of the round of 32 since 2019, but we've earned the right now to be able to expect more than that. And that's what the Pearls and Chad Pruitt and Burgo and Ira Bowman and all them guys, that's what they've done. And there's a beauty in that. But I think if you ask those guys, they want way more. Nobody's hurting more than them.
100%.
Nobody puts in more hours than those guys. That's not what I was saying.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's about the result, man. That's what you get. You get paid for the result, not the process. Now, the process leads to the result, but that's not what they're paying you for. Now, when you look at baseball, I think at this point, we've gone to Omaha so much, it's about having a good showing when we go to Omaha, getting deep there, right? In football, it's getting back to competing for SEC championships, which now by fault gets you in the playoff, right? I mean, you can even be close and get in there. So I don't think it's right to put all the sports into one bag. And I do want to say this. Shout out to Johnny Harris and what she is doing for the women's basketball program.
Sure.
They're about to be in this argument because that woman has worked her butt off. And that team and those coaches have worked their butt off to get here. Now, softball, we can have a different story there. In my opinion, you got to fire the guy. But that's just me. But when it comes to the major three sports that I'm talking about, it's individual. But I think when you look now collectively at Auburn basketball, at Auburn baseball, and then what we believe Auburn football should be, it's about finishing when you get there. Now, does that mean you have to totally change the culture? I mean, I don't think so. You look at the Auburn basketball game, for example, you can't get kicked out of the game. Even if one guy gets kicked out of the game, all I've heard all year is you guys compliment the depth. That's what makes Auburn different. That's what makes Auburn different. And then we lose. Oh, no, Chad Baker-Mazar was out, so that's why we lost. You can't have both. It's the NCAA tournament now. You've had coaches, and listen, and I have his permission to say this. I talked to Stephen Pearl this morning. On a lot of points, he agrees with me. On some of them, he disagrees with the lack of specificity. But again, I'm not one of these boys out here that's supposed to just say everything's okay. You know, the average Joe's mentality, I'm not okay, you're not okay, but that's okay. That isn't me. That's not what I built the J-Boy show on. I'm not apologizing to anyone. But I think at this point, we've gotten to it. We've not only that, we've sipped from the cup before. We've went to the Final Four in basketball. We won a national championship in 2010 and played for another one in 2013. I know the landscape shifted, but it's still possible, right? In baseball, we've gone to Omaha a lot. Y'all have the recipe seems right. It's just that last spice, that last flavor. We can't seem to get over the hump. And I go back to Zach. Name a university that supports its team more from a fan base, attendance, and monetary standpoint than Auburn. You guys get paid as much as the best. You get support as much as the best. At some point, when it comes down to it now, as we sit in 2024, y'all have to start showing up in the biggest moments. And we're sick of the excuses. These people are paying their hard-earned money. Plumbers, accountants, people that are just scraping by to come and support you. And this regular season stuff is nice. Thank you. We appreciate that. But that isn't what you sign up at Auburn to go win. You don't sign up at Auburn to just win the SEC tournament. You don't sign up at Auburn to just host a regional. You don't sign up at Auburn to just go play for the SEC championship. You sign up at Auburn to go win the whole enchilada, and y'all aren't doing it. And I'll tell you that to your face. I'll tell you that on a show. I'll tell you that through text message. And I'm just not, Zach, going to be one of these guys that is a yes man or just says, listen, what you've done in the past, that's good, so none of the other stuff matters. At some point, somebody's got to hold people's feet to the fire. If I got to be that guy, if you got to be that guy, or the couple people in this Auburn realm that care about Auburn more than individuals, I don't care who the coach is. I care about Auburn. I was born here. Zach, just like you, I'm from here, dog. I was here before any of y'all were here. And a lot of people out in the audience understand what I'm feeling. Y'all have to start doing your job. And if you're not from here and you became an Auburn fan, that's great. I'm excited for you. I appreciate that. We need a whole battalion, a whole legion, a whole army. But it's just not good enough, man. And I'm not going to sit here and bend and kiss the knee or kiss the ring. It ain't me. It'll never be me. That's probably why I got out.
Jake, you mentioned, Auburn fans, like, we've sipped from the cup before. And I think going to and winning the national championship in 2010 and then going back a few years later in 13 and coming so close to beating FSU, I think it's similar. I mean, that happened at the start of the Gus Malzahn era, going back anyway. And we kind of attributed a lot of the success in 2010 to Gus. And then also, the Pearl situation is different because the situation he picked up was just so bad.
Oh, it's been
so
incredible
bad.
What he's done, what they've done, what they have done.
Right. But like once we kind of got, Pearl finally built it up to get, that was kind of the start of the Pearl brand of basketball, maybe start of 2017 or 18 or whatever. But both kind of earlier on in their tenures where it's like, okay, we want more of this. We want more of this. Is this the new expectation for this sport? And I think Auburn baseball's expectation, like I almost expect them to go to Omaha or go to a super regional every year,
which is incredible. And hats off to, but I will say this, Zach, when we get there, we fall apart. We fall apart, dog. We do. Like that. The proof's in the pudding. We fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they've won. They just beat Stanford that one year in Omaha.
Yeah. I mean, we won like one time, and then Edward Julian can't throw it to first base.
It's wild. That's so wild, but you're right. I kind of forgot about that moment until you said it on the rant. I'm like, oh my gosh, that did happen.
Like Zach,
and he's killing it now. Like with Minnesota,
dude, and nobody's saying anybody's a bad player. Nobody's saying anybody's a bad player or a bad coach. But every time outside of 2010, think about this, Auburn fans out there, and I know y'all feel me. Y'all feel me more than anybody. Y'all care about this stuff as much as me and Zach both do, and that's why you watch this show. That's why you make this the first listen after you watch Crain and Company in the morning. See what I did there, Zach?
That's okay.
But like nobody gets hurt more than Auburn fans, man. It's like on Apocalypto when the guy keeps looking at him and saying, almost. Oh, you almost saved him. You almost got away. That's us, man. I just want us to be Apocalypto at the end of the movie. And I don't think that's asking too much. And we can, on one hand, say thank you for the memories. Thank you. You guys have done a great job, but we gotta start moving on. We used to make fun of Bama fans before Nick Saban for living in the past, Zach. Yeah. We were the first ones to say, "Oh yeah, y'all were good in the 70s," and now that's what we do. Now that's what we do. I just don't want the hypocrisy. I want what's best for Auburn. I don't care about one person. I care about Auburn. That's what I care about. And y'all aren't doing it. And we have NIL now. The coaches are getting paid an inordinate amount because you've shown us the couple times, but we keep showing up, Zach. Right. We keep showing up. The jungle, it's hell. It's walking into hell. You have Jay Williams coming in there. They're like, oh my God, dog. Like I had to watch my bags when I walked in here. But that's great. You're doing it during the regular season. But this isn't a regular season place. James Madison should be excited for the regular season. These teams that get to go to other regionals in college baseball should be excited for a regular season. Memphis in the group of 5 making the 12-team playoff should be excited for a regular season. This isn't a regular season place, and we've got to stop acting like it. Nobody cares anymore because you showed us the light. Now embrace it. embrace trying to go be a champion. And it's not saying nobody cares. One thing Stephen Pearl told me, you made it sound like nobody cared. I'm not saying that. I know y'all care more than anybody. I text Bruce Pearl after the games because I know how hard it is because how much they care. But how much you care doesn't matter. The result matters. The result matters. And to the Auburn fans, they deserve a better result, in my opinion.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. And just the passion. I mean, you talk about the passion of the fan base, and I know this has been basketball heavy, mainly because of the timing of this. What
it's just part of it. I could loop football in there. We can't stop Alabama on a 4th and goal from the 31. 100%. Are you kidding me? Georgia, we're leading basically going into the 4th quarter, and we fall apart. But Hugh Freeze needs a little more time. But what got Gus Malzahn fired? You couldn't win in the biggest moments, man.
Yeah.
Like, we're sick of being close. We're the biggest tease in college sports. We're the biggest tease.
Well,
it's like Sydney Sweeney winking at me before she gets in a taxi. I'm sick of it. I want to get in the taxi with her, Zach.
I never know where you're going to go. I would have never seen that coming. Yeah, what I hate is it's become a thing. Like, if you're a fan of college football, but not an Auburn fan, and you're turning on an Auburn game, and it's like, like it's become a joke as far as, Auburn's going to do it, but they're not going to be able to close it out, or something crazy is going to happen at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And I mean, we became the butt of the joke after the 4th and 31. And by the way, you talk about support and passion. That Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare Stadium was electric. Like,
what else can we give them, Zach? Yeah. What else can we give them outside of playing or coaching? There is nothing else that we can do. There are people that are scraping up dimes and pennies to be able to take their kids to go see these games. Or when somebody calls out, hey, we need you to come up to Nashville just on the drop of a dime. What do? They show up.
Yep.
They show up. College baseball, they show up. We're sick of the regular season happiness. We're sick of the complacency, not because you don't care, because of the result. The result is what matters. I'm sick. Everybody laughs at us, dog.
Yeah.
In key moments, they laugh at us, Zach. They laugh at us and point like we're the clown. At some point, you got to be Joe Pesci. I'm funny how? I'm funny how to you? Like, and you can call me and cry and complain about how much you've done. I'm going to tell you something. Nobody cares, dog. Nobody cares. That's fine. If I've got to be the bad guy, it's like they say in The Dark Knight. Either you die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain, Zach. And if I've got to become the villain to be able to get over this hump, that's fine. If I have to use my influence to be able to do that, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, I care about Auburn more than any individual person or any access you're going to give me. Auburn hadn't sent me a check yet.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I've missed it in the mailbox. I didn't get to where I've gotten because I just bent the knee at everything at Auburn, and I'm not going to do it. Y'all have got to start doing better in the postseason. You can cry about it. You can be upset about it. You can have your feelings hurt. You cannot talk to me. But you better wish in one hand and do something else in the other and see which one fills up faster because I'm tired of watching it.
Right. All right, Jake, let's pivot and talk a little football and get your thoughts on how spring has gone so far and expectations for this upcoming season. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Auburn. And today's show is brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn, it's not just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion with a B professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. When you're hiring for a small business, you want to find those quality professionals that are right for the role. You got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the best tools to find those right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and hiring takes time. Posting a job on LinkedIn speeds that up. 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring. You should too. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, final few minutes here on Locked On Auburn. Hearing mixed reports on quarterbacks so far this spring. Jake. And I mean, I think that's obviously, I'm not breaking any news here, but the success of Auburn's season is going to have a lot to do with who is taking snaps under center. We all assume it'll be Peyton Thorne, or most people assume it'll be Peyton Thorne based off of Hugh Freeze's words so far throughout spring. But it seems like the offense is still a work in progress.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, outside of the quarterback position, everything I've heard has been unbelievably positive.
Yeah.
It seems that Cam Coleman is who we thought he was.
Caught a touchdown on Saturday's scrimmage. Practice.
This guy's just different. I think that wide receiver group's different. There's multiple guys in there that you've heard good things about. I think a lot of it is working out, the kinks in timing, RPO, understanding when you got to get your eyes around and your hands up.
You concerned about that at all?
Not at all. Not at all. The elite guys have a way of absorbing information and then blending that with their talent. I think Cam Coleman's going to be one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen at Auburn, but I don't think it's just him in this class. I think there's depth. I think there's unity there. You've heard really good things about Auburn up front so far. And then the back end, Auburn lost a lot in the secondary, but it seems that if we're going to pick a group of young guys that are coming through the most, it's in the secondary. I mean, those guys are excited as, Augustus Gloop, finding a chocolate bar next to a candy shop. I mean,
it's amazing. I mean, you lose guys like Jalen Simpson and DJ and Nehemiah, but this group may be more athletic.
I think they are. I think the potential is a lot higher, and that's why you recruit, right? You replace good players with great players. You replace great players with elite players, and so on and so forth. We're going to come on here and talk about this a lot, Zach. We're going to go through every position group. This guy looks great. It's so good this guy came back. But let's make no mistake. This is going to come down to quarterback. And the fact that we're hearing, it sounds like Peyton Thorne's going to be the guy. But we are hearing mixed reviews on it. And the fact that we're hearing mixed reviews on it worries me. If you're going to take that next step, and especially when you've been at Auburn after, a full year, played an SEC schedule, went through the good and the bad, a bad bowl game like Peyton Thorne, you would think that next step, it would be almost, synonymous or unanimous is like, this is the guy, everybody else is there. The fact that we haven't heard that, and I keep saying, listen, the best case scenario is not Walker White being the starter.
It's not.
That's not the best case scenario. The best case scenario is Peyton Thorne figures out Blue's Clues, right? He finds the golden ticket to Wonka's factory, and becomes the guy we all thought he would. But Auburn's season will be dictated on how Peyton Thorne plays. And I think there's so many ways this could play out, Zach. I mean, let's go through them for a second. One, Peyton Thorne does figure it out. He's the guy. We ride it out. You got to go to Bama, to Georgia, but it's a great stepping stone into the next year. Could we sneak into the playoff? Who knows if we catch a couple breaks?
Sure.
Option two, Peyton Thorne is definitely not the guy. We got to throw Walker White in here. Let him get ready. There's ups and downs. We see flashes. You have momentum with young guys around him. You feel good about going into 2025.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jake. You keep mentioning Walker. I think Hank Brown is more likely to be thrown in there before,
it may be,
Walker.
But I know who moves the needle, and I'm just wondering if this is something where he gets kind of pushed forward even faster. And Hank Brown's got to play himself into it, just like everybody. But I think Hank Brown a little bit more has to play himself. He helped himself in the bowl game, but he's really got to play himself into it. I think, and let's just play the Walker White Peyton Thorne game. Let's just play that one right now.
Okay, sure.
Option three, Peyton Thorne is good. Auburn starts out 4-0 or maybe even 5-0 after beating Oklahoma at home, in Jackson Arnold's first road game. But Walker White has shown himself to be better. Then you interject Walker White in there, kind of a little bit the way Michigan did with Cade McNamara and J.J. McCarthy, if that makes sense. And he becomes your guy. There is some ups and downs, but you see why they did it, right? And it makes sense. I think those are your three options right now. Now, we all know that the best version of those, we all know the worst version of those. But the question now becomes, is Auburn good enough around the quarterback position to be able to have an uber successful year? That's a wait and see. That's the biggest question.
Yeah, I think they're talented enough around the quarterback position.
But is it young? Is it too young?
It's young. It's young.
It's young. It is young.
Yeah.
It's young.
But I'll take I'll take a young Cam Coleman and I think a young Perry Thompson. I can't wait to hear more about him when he gets on campus this summer. But I'll take a young version of those guys versus, the veterans that Auburn has had over the last 5-6 years. Yeah, 100%. So, Jake, thank you for hanging out on a Monday and working through some scheduling miscommunication, man. Let people know how they could check out everything you've got going on.
Yeah, well, it's always a pleasure to join you, Zach. I mean, you guys do a great job over here. But yeah, look, we do a live sports show every weekday morning, 6:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central. We have live calls, a live chat. We talk everything college football, college basketball, NFL, all that. If you can't catch us live, it stays on there: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Daily Wire Plus, all that stuff. Forever, kind of an old school sports show. We don't yell unless we need to. I obviously saying that in this episode, I don't know how much garnish that's going to give me, but Zach, it's always fun, buddy. And look, it's a high class problem that Auburn has right now. Just go finish in the biggest moments. That's all I'm asking. The coaches are working their butts off. Nobody's disagreeing with that. But like I said, my washing machine works hard. It's about the result.
Yep, that's right. Hey, be sure to like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you tomorrow. This has been Locked On Auburn.